Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mothers have practically built themselves.
Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. Welcome to part 4, and we're going to fix these decals. I didn't want to wait to send away for others. You know what? We are going to fix these. I want to show you how you can do it. There's a couple of pieces in this segment, however, where the camera kind of doesn't quite pick up what I'm doing, so I apologize. But hey, without further ado, let's get on fixing these decals.
Okay, so I have decided I'm going to try and save these decals. Wish me luck. So we're going to use my liquid decal film by Microscale, and this stuff is awesome. The only problem I have is it's a little bit thick. You can brush it on, but for this application, I am going to airbrush it on. I'm going to pour some in there. It's a little bit thick, so I am actually going to make a 50-50 mixture of that and lacquer thinner. Yeah, you can thin it with lacquer thinner, believe it or not. It'll it'll flash off a lot quicker. It'll dry a lot quicker, I should say. So I'm going to mix some up. Make sure I'm able to spray it, because this is thick. Okay, we're good to go. So I'm going to take my remaining decals, and I am just going to spray a light coat over the whole thing. Just a light coat. I don't need a whole lot. But I do need to make sure I cover the whole thing. Oh yeah. Okay, now on the decal that for the hood, I'm going to attempt to save it. So I'm going to take my my airbrush, and you saw how much I was spraying out. Well, I'm just going to lightly put a little bit on and methodically go over this decal. And I'm going to try and cover the whole thing. So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, well, we've gotten it on there, and the whole reason I didn't record it for you folks is, well, I didn't know if it was really going to happen or not. The nice thing is, once you use the whatever this is called, the liquid decal film, and you let it dry, what it does is it creates a whole new clear barrier or bonding agent over the entire decal. And so, unfortunately, some of it was so cracked that it's kind of sticking up in some areas. Some of it didn't line up quite right, because when I sprayed it on, the decal moved just slightly. So we're gonna have that to deal with. And right here, well, the decal just completely came apart and I couldn't salvage it. So we can probably fix this little area here with just some paint. And we'll go over some tricks that I've learned to try and make this, well, salvage this. If you're building something for a contest, which, yeah, you're going to have to get a new decal sheet. But I just wanted to show you folks that, yes, we can definitely save some decals if they're pretty gone. It did take me a good half hour's worth of work putting on that clear, and then just kind of moving them in place to get it absolutely perfect. But now that I've got it set on here, I have to use microsol, which is kind of a solvent, and it helps melt the decal and get it into place. It's going to soften it, and once it dries, what happens is these areas, like right here, it'll suck down in. But I have to be careful. What I'm really trying to do is just melt this decal to a point where it's on the plastic for good. So this is going to take about, I don't know, 4 or 5 applications maybe. Just kind of working it over, being careful not to move anything out of place, although that bonding agent I used really worked well. I just want to try and get everything to fit as good as possible. So we're just putting a coat on here now. We're going to let that work its magic, and before it's completely dry, we're going to come back and just try and make sure everything is lined up again and put on another coat. So
okay,
stay with us, we'll be back.
So I have sprayed my decals with the decal barrier, whatever. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, it's a stressful day. Let me just say that. What you want to do, so I'm going to cut out my next decal. What you want to do is cut really, really close to the decal itself. Usually there's a little bit of a film, and that's okay. But with this new stuff we sprayed on, the entire sheet is now one, basically one clear coat. So you have to individually cut out each decal. When I say that, I say cut it as close as possible without getting into the decal. Okay, and then just your normal, get it all wet. We're going to set that aside I just happened to get the other one wet already. So we're going to take some of our micro set, which is the blue bottle. I'm going to brush it here on the fender. And I just got to grab an edge. And that's why I like to use my knife. So we're going to grab an edge, hopefully. Hopefully this decal comes off in one piece. There you go, one piece. Yay! Success! I feel so accomplished at this point, after all the heck we've been through getting it to this point. So I'm going to line it up on my other decal. Just a little teeny tiny gap for the hood. And now we're going to hit it with the micro saw immediately to get working on softening this up. And just a tiny little lip over the side here. So that allows us to get some of this underneath and start cooking the decal from underneath. Because we don't want it to bend up, we want it to, fold over. So yeah, that's what we're after. And then I'm just gonna work on snugging down some of the hood decal. Looks like we're in pretty good shape on that so far. Yeah. Okay. We'll be back to apply another coat on there, and I'm going to continue decaling around this car. As you can see, we were able to save the decal, do some touch-up painting. Now we're going to be working on the trim, which is anodized aluminum, not chrome. Sorry to burst people's bubbles, but
I'm not going to use the Molotov pen at this point. I will use on a few things. And I'm not going to use bare metal foil because, well, it's just unrealistic in my opinion. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I do my my anodized aluminum trim. And I'm going to use Tester's just a little 1/4 ounce bottle of gloss silver. Get a nice sharp pointy brush, and I use my pinky as my how can I put it, my stabilizer, and I put that wherever I need to, and then just hold my brush like I would a pencil, and I start to paint very carefully and very slowly my anodized aluminum trim. On this particular model, the windshield wipers are molded in, so I have to be very careful with those. Make sure to not get paint where I don't want it. And I'm just using the lid of my paint jar right now, so I don't get too much paint on my brush. Just very carefully painting my trim. Okay, I'm going to stop right there and turn around and show you where I've already done the rear window using the same technique. Looks like I have a little touch up to do on the inside of the window, and I do have a little touch up to do on the rear panel. Yes, it's supposed to be flat black. And yes, the chrome around the bezels, like this, that is correct. And I have very lightly gone over the Charger RT on there. So I'm going to continue with this technique. As you can see, I'm going to have all this here on the side. I'm going to have some here on the front. So I'm going to continue on. You kind of get the idea, and we'll be back in a few minutes to see how we've done.
So here you can see where I've painted the silver to mimic the anodized aluminum trim around this vehicle. Okay, so far, so good. Fortunately, the hand's pretty steady. I did use some of my wash, Larry's bath water, in the cracks and crevices here so that the body lines would be much more pronounced. I usually do that in the doors and things such as that. I think it makes a big difference. So here you go, kind of the overall look of how we are with the anodized aluminum, with the body panels enhanced, and all the touch-ups done on the decals. So we're going to start here on the tail piece, getting this thing detailed properly, get black in the right areas, chrome in the right areas, anodized aluminum in the right areas. I know, those taillights just aren't as good as Revell's. Now here's a little trick I do. I paint black just on the inside of that anodized aluminum because, well, there's a black gasket that goes around most of the windows, front and back. So I usually do that with like a Sharpie, or in this case, I just used my brush and some black paint. And you can see how it looks with that window gasket. you'll notice later, I think it really does help in the details. So, see you in part 5.